Hey guys, and welcome to Wednesday with Ra. Today we are working on self-worth, and we're going to tell you guys a bit about what's going on with us. And let me get this muted. One guys, and welcome to Wednesday with Ra. Today we are working on self-worth. I had more than one window up. Okay. So today we're working on self-worth. And I don't know if you guys know, but today is 535. And when you look that up in angel numbers, it talks about today, the angels and our guides and our teams are helping us learning to live life to the fullest, to not hold back. And they're encouraging us in love, self-esteem, and self-worth to make better choices and to make better thoughts for the future. And so it's very ironic that Ra wanted to talk about self-worth today. And all day today, I have been in the lab working on cold cream and having conversations with Michael Jackson. I know most of you guys know he's one of my guides. And he actually wanted to step in and talk today too. And so we're going to probably hear from both Ra and Michael. And then we can take some questions as well. So if you guys have questions about self-worth or questions about connecting your energy, blockages in the energetic field, put those in the chat and we will get to them. So I'm going to swap things over here so we can see both Maggie and I, because Maggie is here with me too. So thank you, Maggie, for joining us today again. And where do we want to start?
I guess I can start about this because they've been giving me a lot of information about the energies lately and how they relate to this energy of our self-worth within us. The energy as it is now, especially with this new moon in Taurus that happened yesterday, this is all about our places of comfort, where we feel comfortable within ourselves, where we don't feel comfortable in ourselves. The energies are coming in to help us fix that or release the things that we don't feel so comfortable about right now. So you might be going through some uncomfortable experiences. You might be having flashbacks to things that were uncomfortable. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. Those things are coming in to get cleared up. And what they've been telling me a lot about is how this relates to the sacral chakra. The energy of the divine feminine, the divine mother, has been working with me a lot lately. And she's been telling me that a lot of these issues of self-worth, or these energies of self-worth, they really originate in our sacral chakra. This is where our life force energy lives, our creative force energy, our energy of creativity, our energy of expression. These all originate in the sacral. And we live in a society, where at everywhere you turn, in every place in your life, they're trying to make you feel uncomfortable about who you are. They're trying to make you feel ashamed about who you are. So, you can remember when you were a child and you felt so comfortable to scream and dance and express. And then as you grow older, all of those places where you felt so free, you feel like you have to fit into a box. You have to be normal. You have to be like other people. But that's what they're trying to shed from us right now. And personally, it's been a very challenging journey for me because shame was really my base energy for most of my life. I was ashamed of my voice, ashamed of my body, ashamed of pretty much everything about myself. Every time I would turn to try to accomplish something, I would just feel like I can't do this, I'm not good enough. Just this energy of shame coming up. And that's the way that the programs that are on this earth right now want us to feel. So it's been a long climb up the mountain for me to get out of that energy of shame and to feel comfortable in all of my expressions. And I'm at a point now where I'm not really quite sure how I got here because the changes have been so small and incremental. It takes so much to break out of these things. So I think that Ra is going to come through and talk about that energy, come in to kind of open up our sacral chakras to let some of this creative force energy flow a little bit better through us. And if you guys have any questions about your chakras or how your energy is working there, he'll be happy to answer that stuff for you. But I think that we are very blessed today to have Michael Jackson coming through too, because Ra is a very magnanimous being. Like, he's not a human in any sense. He's a god. So for him to relate to our experience, it's a little bit I wouldn't say it's difficult for him, but it's something that Michael Jackson, having the life that many of you knew that he had, he can relate directly to these human experiences. And I'll let Temple talk about that a little bit. You're muted.
I'm always muted. I'm always muted. So, yeah, so those of you who don't know, Michael has been my guide forever, a very, very long time. And I'm not going to go into the story about how I found this all out, but it was a very long process of self-realization and self-actualization to realize that these crazy things in my life weren't what the normal society would consider real or true or something that they would want you to focus on. But because I have always had this idea of self-worth. Now, my journey has been a little different, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I just want to finish the thought. So because I've always had this idea of self-worth and who I am, maybe not that I understood who I am, because I'm still learning about all this at the soul level or, at the higher energetical levels, but I think that this is what really has helped propel me forward, because otherwise I would have taken all these notions or all these strange and odd things that happened and tossed them out the window because they're not what our society wants us to believe. They're not what our society wants us to focus on. Like strange and weird things happen and then they label you with terrible names. And so you keep those things hidden. And for most of my life, I have always been just unique and different. And I quickly learned as a child that that's not what they want in this society. That's not how they want you to act. They don't want you to be unique. They don't want you to be different. They want you to fall into a mold of specifics. And my whole life, I was always faced with situations of trying to keep my own self-power at bay, trying to dim the light that I had in myself, because I always just kind of beat to a different drum, but they did it in such a way where they knew that they couldn't necessarily make me feel bad about my own unique light and my own unique self. So what they would do is they would make me feel like I couldn't succeed, no matter how good I would attempt to do something, no matter how much I would attempt to love something, no matter how much thought or how much work I would put into something, it was never good enough. And so that's one of the ways that I was kept down from really standing in my self-worth. Because after a while, you continue, you try and you try and you try, and it's never good enough. And then you sit there and you kind of wonder, well, what the hell? Like, what am I missing? What is missing from me that I am not good enough, that I crave this love and affection, and the only way I can get it is by molding myself into something that I am not, and by changing my thought process, changing the ways in which I would do things to my fullest potential. And so there comes a point in your life where you realize that it's not so much about them. All of this stuff is put on you, and you're trained to act in a certain way. You start to believe these things, and it changes who you are. And this is the whole problem with self-worth, I think, that we're talking about today. And Michael has been just talking my ear off all day about this, but he really brought it home to me, and how we all struggle in our own unique ways to deal with the pressures of society when we don't fit into society's mold. And this really came to a head for me when I got married to my first husband, to my first husband. And it made it, I knew that I shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. I knew it. But again, I succumbed to societal pressures. I succumbed to parental pressures. This was something I had chosen. And I felt like if I backed out, not only would like the religious dogma haunt me for the rest of my life, but also that, my parents would never forgive me. And so there came a point where I had to choose my self-worth over this marriage that really wasn't a marriage in any sense of the term, because it wasn't equal. It was very obvious. He told me that I was like number 3 or 4 on his list. So it came to the point where I had to say, wait a minute, all of this crap that I've gone through my whole life boils down to this moment. Do I choose to be what everybody wants me to be and be miserable and just slowly waste away and forget who I am? Or do I take this chance and leave, figure it out as I go, but at least I would be staying true to my heart and staying true to myself, realizing that I can't do this anymore. I have to grab on to the last bit of self-worth that I have to learn to rebuild myself, to learn that it's okay to be me and that I deserve to be loved and I deserve to be treated equally. And so as things have progressed, I've really stepped into that, I think, and it wasn't easy. Don't get me wrong. Like it wasn't easy, but I am here now. And now that Michael's been talking to me, I understand how this is all based in self-worth. And so I hope that gives you guys a little bit of information on how it works like in the real world. Because I think probably a lot of people can relate to this, right? So where do we want to go from here, Maggie?
I think that was really well put. First of all, my experience is not by any means like down the same path as yours, but I really relate to, doing your best and it's never good enough. And then there's a certain point where you're like, well, I got to, and I think that you got to, and probably many of the people who are with us, they're like, well, if I can never be what other people want me to be in the 3D, just screw it. I'm going to do what I want to do. And it's just going to be this thing that, if I can't live up to the 3D things, I'm going to do totally my own thing. And I think that was a really big breaking out point for people who get to that point. It's a really big point of liberation.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And I've seen this at work in my family as well, where everybody has their own idea of what that means, of self-liberalization, where, for me, it was just feeling safe to just be myself and not needing to feel that I have to conform to everything that my parents want or everything society wants. Whereas my sister took it and she ran with the idea of being free, being herself, trying all these different things, and then figuring out or trying to figure out as she went along what her self-worth means to her. So people do it in different ways, where I feel like my sister was maybe at a disadvantage because she didn't quite understand the whole idea of self-worth, because it's not something we're taught. I was lucky enough to, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure how I just knew that I was what I was, like I knew that my dreams were important. I knew that I guess it was because I just had a feeling and I was comfortable enough, at least by myself, to stand in that feeling of how I felt, where this is not something we're taught. We're not really taught self-worth. And if we were, so this is what Michael was explaining to me today. He was saying that once we can fix the divine feminine and the divine masculine, finding self-worth or knowing what you are, what is innately you, and feeling okay and comfortable to be you will change, because The families who are raising children, they don't have their own self-worth. So they have succumbed to trying to fit into a box of society. And when you have a child that comes to you and says, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm seeing, then the parents right away, without even taking a moment to feel themselves, are saying, oh, this is wrong, you can't do that. And so you're shaping the child as the child grows up to drop pieces of themselves because it's considered wrong, or and so Michael was telling me that once this gets fixed, people and children will have an easier understanding of what self-worth is, and be able to stand strong in their knowing of who they are. So, do you have anything you want to add to that, Maggie?
I totally agree. And if you've heard us channeling, or, if you've been tapped into Temple or me over the last, couple of weeks or couple of months, however long, they've been talking so much about this divine feminine coming back into balance with the divine masculine and vice versa. People don't have any idea about what self-worth means. They have all of these false ideas that I'm worthy finally if I achieve this, or if I achieve that, or, all of these external things, because what is projected on us to be a woman in society is something that is very, what is the word, diminishing and making you small. To be a man in our society, it's something that takes away the heart of the man. It just turns him into this hardened shell. It's this inversion of what we're meant to be. So parents, without knowing it, grow up raising their children to think that these are the things that they should strive after, because we're all just learning. We all don't know any better. We all have been taught wrong things about what it means to feel worthy in the self. And it has nothing to do with how other people see you, with how society perceives you. It has to do with the vitality within yourself, how much you love yourself, how much you can be in your own heart and be comfortable in that space, being all right inside of your own body, loving yourself just as you are now. Nobody talks about these things, and people make fun of people like me and Temple, and probably a lot of spiritual people like you guys who are watching this, for saying things like this, for saying self-love, self-love, self-love. You need to affirm things to yourself. But it's so powerful to take back this power in this way. To even speak positively about your own self is difficult for many people to do. I couldn't look in the mirror and look in my own eyes and say I love you without crying for a long time, because I had internalized so much hatred for myself because of the way that we're taught. There are so many things I looked at myself and I couldn't see anything that I loved about myself, was only things that I needed to fix. And I think that is what is coming up for a lot of people now. Like all of these things that they told us that we need to fix, we're feeling them so strongly, but to release them so that we can feel the love and the worth within ourselves that belongs to us, that has always belonged to us, but just been hidden under this piles and piles of programming for so long.
Exactly. And I want to just comment on one thing, just so we can all make the differentiation. Because if you look up what is self-worth, what is the definition of self-worth, they will tell you that it has to do with self-esteem. And that is wrong. That is not, self-worth is not about self-esteem. Self-esteem is external. Those are the factors of you being able to feel success and achievement. But what we're really getting at here is when you have self-worth, you will feel those things because you're not going to be comparing yourself to others or told that you have to do this. Self-worth, like Maggie said, is all about feeling enough, feeling worthy, knowing that you truly love yourself, even though you're not perfect. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Maggie's not perfect. Michael wasn't perfect, but like we learn to love our imperfection. And that's what makes it beautiful, because I say this all the time, but there is no one like you, which means that you're pretty special. And so why would you want to give yourself away to fit into somebody else's ideology of what they think, feel, and act? This is where we have to know within ourselves that we are worthy and we're enough just being us. We don't have to constantly feel like in our lives there's this stepping stone or this mountain that we're trying to climb when it's not really us. It's them, it's society. So when you climb the mountain for yourself, that's a totally different story than when you're climbing it for society and what society has told you to do and to be and to feel and to act and to look like and to drink and to eat and to, all of this stuff. So yes, Val said it best, perfectly imperfect. And we're going to hopefully give you guys some tools between Ra and Michael to kind of really understand what this whole idea of self-worth is and to really embody it, or at least start to embody it, because nothing is ever done overnight, right? And here's my UPS man. So hang on just 1 second. Make sure I don't have to sign anything. Okay. Now that I lost my train of thought, do you have anything you want to add, Maggie?
I would just like to add, they're telling me this right now. It's relevant for me, so it's in the air energetically, I guess. If you're having experiences throughout this session or in your life in general at this time where, you're trying to work through these self-worth issues, an issue of self-worth comes up, you get triggered from a memory of the past where you did something where someone made you feel small or you were embarrassed. We have a tendency as humans we were taught to feel uncomfortable with our emotions, right? Like you have a bad emotion. I don't want to feel that. It's uncomfortable. I'm going to press it down. I'm going to say, please, like, go away. That's what I used to say that physically when I would feel uncomfortable or something like that would come up for me. I would find myself saying, please stop, please stop, please stop, please go away. Like I couldn't handle feeling these things. However, when they come up at that time in your life, when you felt that thing, if this is a memory that's coming up, or, if it's something that you're feeling right now, this is a part of you at some point that tried to express in a certain way, or it tried to be you in your truest expression, and it got shot down by someone on the outside who didn't know any better. Or maybe it got shot down by your own brain with the conditionings of society telling you that it should be different. You have to feel these things when they come up. They're not here to torture you. They're not here to put you in this feeling of awkward cringiness or disliking yourself. They're here to be felt. That version of you, that energy within you is a part of you that wanted to feel validated, that wanted to feel loved, but felt suppressed in some way. That's why it's coming up as this malaligned energy that makes you feel bad, because it didn't get the energy it needed, it didn't get the love, it didn't get the validation, it didn't get the place to express itself that it needed to. So it might seem very counterintuitive, but when these things come up, try to be present and try to sit with them and try to say, okay, this feeling is here. I don't have to go anywhere in my mind with it. I don't have to go relive that situation. This feeling is a part of me that would like some love from me. And when you do that, when you're able to start to do that, to sit with these uncomfortable feelings with love and acceptance, which is all they want, which is why they're trying to come up, you will find that those feelings start to dissipate, because with love, they will start to reintegrate and transmute back into your energetic field in the proper way. They keep coming up and coming up and coming up year after year, day after day, whatever, because we tend to ignore them. We tend not to like to feel them. But the point at which we start feeling them with love, they're able to calm down, they're able to relax, they're able to return to where they were meant to be, back into the field of our hearts, back into the field that is the love of our beings. And I was just guided to say that. And I don't know if you have anything to add, Temple.
No, I think that's so perfect. So perfect. Do we want to take this moment to connect our energies?
Yes, I think that would be wonderful.
So we invite all of you to connect your energies with us as well. And if you've watched a few of our lives now, you know how we do this. We have our feet on the floor and then we have our hands up. And all you have to do is allow and be in the moment with us. And that's it.
If it's all right with you, I think that Ra is going to come in now and lead us through a centering, grounding meditation, something to really get us in the comfort of our bodies for this topic today.
I think that's great. And I just want to remind you guys to get your questions ready. Ra said, well, he wasn't going to take questions at first because he wanted Michael to give a bit of a 3D explanation for things. But then he decided that as long as the questions were on blockages, programs, and energetic fields, that he would be willing to take them. So if you guys have also chakras, things like that too. So energy question chakras, feel free to write them in the chat and then we'll get going after we do our connection. So.
Yes, and I would just like to also add that Ra is going to be with us the whole time. He'll probably have my hands like this the whole time. So if you need any energy, or you think that something that's more human related that you would like to ask Michael, but you want some energy to go along with it, Ra is with us for this whole ride. So you don't feel like you have to get in everything. If you need energy requests or whatever, his energy is going out to the collective field the whole time. So he's with us this whole time. I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah, I think that's good. And Michael is also here as well. And Michael and Ra, without getting into too much detail, they are really good friends. So they hang out a lot. And it's going to be a wonderful night. So, all right, I am ready when you are.
All right. If you are with us and you would like to put your hands up with us at this time, it will connect your energies to us even more strongly. So should the beings that we are channeling have energy to send, with your hands connected to the circle, you will receive it even more strongly. Whether you are watching this live right now or watching it at some point in the future, it does not matter. This connection is outside of time. So if you feel drawn to do that, please do join us in this more connected way. And I'm going to bring through Ra now to lead us through a meditation.
Okay.
Greetings, my children. My voice just cracked. Greetings, my children. I am Ra. I have come today to speak to you a bit about the energies that you are going through, the energies of self-worth within the body. And I'm going to guide you through an exercise now to ground you into the body. When you are grounded into your body, your energy of worthiness may flow even more strongly. And your energy of worthiness is many things, but it originates in the sacral chakra. This is where your creative life force energy lives. This is where your inner child lives. This is where the creation within you is born. The creation of emotions within yourself, the creation of energies. All creative forces start in the sacral chakra. However, many of you are disconnected from your sacral. If you cannot connect to the sacral, the creative energies of the sacral cannot manifest through the solar plexus, which is the more active chakra. The sacral is the feeling chakra, where the things are birthed. The solar plexus is where they manifest into reality. When you are disconnected from your sacral, you are by definition disconnected from your solar plexus, and your energy will be low. Your life force energy is not simply there to manifest for you, to create your creations and manifestations in the world. It is what keeps you going throughout the day. It is your vital energy. And if these chakras are diminished, you will feel tired. And I can feel that many of you are tired, for these chakras are diminished. But that is not a criticism of you or of anyone who feels this way. It is simply a result of the programming that the powers that be put upon those that live within your matrix. I am here to help free you a bit in these chakras. It will take more work than just my presence today. However, I do wish to open you up here more. And this starts with being connected with the body. So many of you are taught to hate your bodies, and I am speaking to you, especially women. You are taught that you need to have the flattest stomach possible in order to be beautiful. Why do you think that they teach you to suck in your stomach? That to be small like this is what you should do? Of course, many of you are thin naturally. That is not what I'm speaking about. But this energy of sucking yourself in, making yourself small in the place where your sacral and solar plexus live. Do you think this is a coincidence? It is not. This diminishes your life force energy. And if you cannot be energized during the day, you cannot even begin to think of doing the things that you would like to do in the world. So here I would like you to take a deep breath into your stomach, a deep breath deep into your stomach, where your sacral and your solar plexus chakras live. It does not matter how it looks. The extension of your stomach is a beautiful thing. Have you ever seen the proudness of an eagle, the proudness of a hawk? They are not small around this area. They are puffed out and proud because they hold a great deal of energy in their respective chakral centers here. That is why they are respected as the medicine animals that they are. If you continue to purposefully try to make yourself small here or hate the area of your body that is here, you are unknowingly, every day, constantly diminishing yourself until the point comes where you can address these energies in a conscious way, where you can know what is actually working here. So as I am speaking, breathe into your stomach. If you have any urge to suck it in, please do not. Tell your body, your stomach, you are beautiful as you are. You hold my life force energy. You are the seat of my creation, especially for you women. You are my greatest gift, the womb chakra. Women, whether you have children, you do not, whether you can or cannot birth children at this time. The womb is nevertheless a portal for energies that men do not have in the way that you have. It is powerful in you as women. Know this power, do not diminish it for a second longer. Allow your bellies to be as they are. Even for my channel, this is uncomfortable for her. She is having some very uncomfortable feelings come up about allowing her body to be as it is, about allowing her stomach to have the roundness that it has. I'm here to help you release this programming. It is toxic to the body. It is toxic to the collective. It is toxic to the divine feminine, and it is toxic to the divine masculine. If just for this brief moment, if you can, let go of that programming. Let your body be in the beautiful magnificence it is right now. That is all I want you to do in this meditation. Allow your stomach to be. If it is flat, if you are thin, allow it to be as it is. Feel the rolls of the skin that might be there. If you, no matter what weight you are, feel your stomach right now. She is very uncomfortable doing this, which should tell you that all of you are on a journey like this. Maggie has done several years of self-work and nothing but self-work. She has been in a hermitude of self-work, and yet she cannot hold the roundness of her stomach comfortably yet. This is how deeply they have infiltrated your consciousnesses. And that is all right, because we are working on this now. Hold your hands around your stomach, whatever part feels comfortable, and feel it. Feel it. There is nothing wrong with this. There is nothing wrong with anything that you feel. It is all beautiful. It is a beautiful expression of who you are. These bodies are your sacred temples, and they have endured so much for you. Thank your stomach. Thank your sacral chakra. Thank your solar plexus chakra for keeping you alive, for getting you through all the trials and tribulations that this life has surely thrown at you. All of you are strong. All of your bodies are strong to have endured the things that they have. They have made it in a world where it is difficult to make it. And it is only through the blessed sturdiness of each of your respective bodies that you have got into the places that you are now. Thank them. They do a great service for you every single day. You are nothing without your human vessels. It is time that you start loving them. It is time that you start loving them. The vessel is a sacred temple. Your vessel is sacred to each one of you. It has its own consciousness. It has its own awareness. Many of you, like this one, who are perhaps holding weight in the stomach area that you do not want to be holding, do you realize why this is in many cases? It is because you have been so taught to hate your bodies that this is the only protection that your body has against this energy of hate toward itself. It puts on layers of fat and layers of tissue because it has no other defense. Your skin is soft. You do not have thick skin like some of the other races. So when your body feels energy, it does not have an armor outside to protect it. You do not master your energetic fields at this point well enough. You as a people do not have the knowledge enough yet to ward off the energies through the field alone. So the only thing that your body can do to protect itself from this energy that in many times you yourselves are sending it is to put these layers of fat and tissue and skin on to protect itself from the harshness of the criticism that you are sending to it. Once you start to love yourself more, once you start to embrace these things about yourself, embrace even the protection that your body has put upon it to protect itself, you will find that these protective layers start to diminish themselves. They will know that they do not need to be there anymore because you are treating your body now with kindness and not with unkindness. And I say again, I blame none of you for having felt these things about yourself, for having been unkind to yourselves, for accepting the unkindness of others. What better did you know? Temple was speaking about this earlier. You are not taught how to love yourselves. You are not taught what self-worth truly means. They project these skinny bodies in your media, knowing that your bodies are protecting themselves from this shameful energy with fat. And there is nothing that you can do when you are in shame to get a body like these very skinny people that you see in the media unless you starve yourself. It is by design, my children, it is by design that you can never meet these standards. And then you have more shame and more shame and more shame, and you become this very diminished being. You do not deserve to be diminished. You do not deserve to be small. And it starts with the step of being comfortable within the body. It starts especially with allowing the stomach to open up, allowing the place where these chakras live to open up, even just sitting here without feeling like you need to suck in your stomach, feeling the fullness of your belly as it expands. Most people do not breathe with the fullness of their belly. They do not breathe deeply into this place. This breath alone, this allowing of your body to be how it is alone, will increase your life force energy, will increase your vitality, will increase your self-worth within yourself. It is an energy of acceptance, a base energy of acceptance. That is where this whole idea of self-worthiness begins. But I do go on. Is there any questions, Temple, or is there anything that you would like to add?
Don't think we have any questions. If you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. And I don't think I have anything to add, Father. Unless you think there's something that I forgot or didn't know that I was supposed to add.
No, I do not think that there is anything you need to add. Perhaps we can join in a bit of language to help these chakras, to help clear them a bit and open them a bit. And when we are finished with that, if there are no questions for me, I will go and you two can continue the conversation in the way that you had planned for after I will leave.
Sounds good.
Would you like to begin, my daughter?
Yes. Buto soto no koto loko shuko te askatana taya tolo pokoto. Iakatasana lo oskoto shokotono yapoto. Piaskata mosoto no jokotono. Naskatala shakata bajukoto noskoto piata alasanayata yato. Makolopo niasanatiako tosho. Nayata. Bukoto to shukunoto boskoto to bokoto. Piaskala shananayata boko. Tahasa. Nialoto sonoto kojotana niata. Mukopoto sopoto paniata katiata patiata katiata matiata katiata poskoto patiana katatoto sokoto tiata katiata tatiata tiaskoto. Tataskata niaskata pushkoto no holo shokoto maskoto lo no niapa tiapo toto tiapo topo toto kiata toto koto. Naskata shakata naskata po shokoto. Hasala ama ko mahala mapapo uoshoto posono. Nasa tano soko shohonoto maka tapoloshoto nayata. Namaste.
Oha, la ua a na uku, a la a ku ute a la, o kutukuma a la kunduka a la a hu o e a akata. La e a luhu a la a hata uku ulu uruha, uruha atu ukuma a na hoko e a na se aka. Lu'u aya a sa uku nea a, la ana u ka ata la a hata u ata a, la a ma akasi, ono a hati ata a saki, ono o se a, ono o se a, ono o se a, ono o se a. Han usa, han usa, han usa, han usa, han usa saya asahi, anho maha hi aya hano hosi aka. La haya e a hiti, hono ma a hono, hile o hoia ha ha hi aya hi, ansa si hi, moso oso hi, anti I iha lahani hi ha ha di. I love you, my children. I leave you with my blessings, and I am here in my energy with you for the duration of this session. Much love to you all. I am Ra.
Much love. Thank you, Father. We don't have any questions. So let's see if Michael wants to come in and we'll see what he has to say. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I'm completely nervous because although we talk all the time, I didn't think I was ready to actually channel him, even though like in our small groups and things, I have channeled him quite often. So yeah, let's just see how it goes. And is there anything you want to add? Were you able to get the chat, Maggie?
Yes, I have it. There are no questions so far, but I'm sure that Michael has a lot that he wants to say as it is. So I will let him speak, and if questions come up, I will relay them to him.
All right. Thank you. This is Michael. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. I have been talking Temple's ear off all day, but this is such a valid issue that hasn't really been touched in terms of allowing information to come through so that all of you can start healing yourselves and even recognizing that this is the base of the issue at hand. And I wanted to come forward to give you a bit of 3D perspective on it. And so when you think of self-worth, you think of how you're feeling with self, how when you feel good about something, when you know you did well with something, that's a good feeling. When somebody outside of you, outside of your energetic field, tells you that it's not good enough, it diminishes your feeling of self-worth. It diminishes your feeling of self-knowing, self-understanding. It diminishes yourself. And unfortunately, this is a huge issue. And I was not immune to this issue myself, but I want to show you how to walk precariously through, not necessarily in the way I did, but I want to give you some experiences to help you better understand how you can have self-worth and you can still be very lonely. All of these things that I'm about to describe, I think all of you in some way will be able to understand or will be able to feel. Now, when I was on your planet, you all know me as a singer, as someone who rose to enormous fame. But the inner workings of how I did that and what I really felt and what was coming at me, this is what I want to talk about. So when I was little, you know the story, I'm not going to go into it, but I was never really told that I did a good job. There was never much appreciation other than when the money rolled in or other than what I felt from the audience in the energy. I was never really taught how to know how to trust myself, know how to be comfortable in my own skin. And yet, despite all of this, I was. And it may seem kind of contradictory, but it's not. The reason is because many of us have places or have ways of allowing ourselves to feel that, to feel ourselves, the energy, the essence of what is actually in this body. We can shut it off during the day or when we're supposed to be in front of people and do certain things so that we fall into the regime of society. But when we're alone at night or when we're by ourselves, we allow ourselves to feel that. And this was really strong in me. I knew what I felt. I knew that what I felt inside was different than what society accepted. I broke a lot of boundaries. Well, I broke a lot of boundaries when I was here, but I did that only because I had self-worth, only because I knew that no matter what, I had to be who I was inside. And if you think about this, those people that allow themselves to shrink and to disappear and to be walking how shall I say, what's the term I want to use? Walking zombies. These are the people that don't hold on to their self-worth. Had I not held on to my self-worth, had I not held on to this knowing of the world is different than I am, the world doesn't really understand me, the world assumes things about me, but they really have no idea. I let these things really tear me up and really get into my self-worth. There is no way that I would have been able to climb to the positions that I did. And you have to understand something, that this is in all of you. When you conform to what society is telling you to do, you can only go so far, because that's as far as society has gone. But if you look beyond that, if you look within yourself, if you recognize that your soul is extremely unique and has all of these experiences and all these thoughts, that's why you're here. You're here to bring yourself to this world. I was here to bring all of my knowing and all of my being and all of my energy into this world. Because without it, it's such a dark place. It's such a dense place to be in. Had I allowed my father, or had I allowed all of the criticisms that were spoken about me, that were believed about me, I would not have been able to bring the changes that I did. And I'm not just speaking about worldwide changes that everybody knows my name. I'm speaking about the love that I brought. Nobody talks about how I would visit children's hospitals. Nobody talks about that, because that's not drama. No, nobody in this world cares about that, but that is important. Had I brought myself down and left pieces of myself, I would not have felt worthy enough to be able to spread the love that was in me. And this is what it's all about. If you think about all of the changes in this world that would not have happened had I not been here. Temple is asking, do we really have to list them? But I am going to list a few. Some of these changes included allowing African Americans to sing next to the majority of the white populations, to have equal footing. This was not done before I came. People get so frustrated and so nervous and upset about my changing looks. But the point is that I was proud of who I was here. And as my life progressed, my vitiligo had me have to make choices. But that doesn't mean I wasn't strong in who I was. Because I took chances, because I believed in myself so much, because I felt so much. This is how the world progresses. And you all have this within you. This is not something that was only mine. I came and brought it and stood in my own light. And think about this. Had I not done this, had I been overshadowed by what other people wanted me to do, none of this would have happened. None of this. And I want you to encompass the strength of being okay in your skin. And people say to me, well, Michael, you weren't okay in your skin. I was okay in my true skin, in my true self. I understood the vastness of myself and all of my potential. You come to this planet and you live inside a skin, inside a human skin. And from there, that is where all of this functions. And so you can change your belief systems. I never thought I was handsome or that I was good looking. I never understood why women and men were interested in me, because I lacked belief that I was worthy in that way. But that does not mean that I lacked self-knowing or self-worth, because I had that. And when you're here on the planet, you run up against these things. I was always conscious of how I looked. I had problems that led to surgeries, that led to pills, that led to a lot of physical problems for the human vessel. But that doesn't mean that I lost my idea of who I was at my core, of what I needed to bring to this planet. Because let me tell you, all of you have this mission to bring love and bring light to the planet. Now, this is the true test of self-worth. When you can become comfortable enough in self that it doesn't matter what happens, it doesn't matter if you have a disease that changes your skin color, or you had problems that resulted in one surgery, that the painkillers led to multiple surgeries, that you struggled with. What matters in the end is that even though through those struggles, you continued despite what everybody else thinks of you. Because let me tell you this, it was not easy here. And I felt alone all the time. I felt completely alone, completely misunderstood. But you know what I had that a lot of people didn't, or that a lot of people toss aside? I had this idea of childlike behavior, childlike wonder. And people misconstrued that to be something it's not. But with what Maggie and Ra just said, can you understand now why this was misconstrued? Because if you find that wonderment in life, if you are as happy and as full of self as children do, children don't care what happens on the outside or what's going on. They are in their own little worlds. They are just happy being them. It's only when outside forces come in to destroy all of who they are, to make them believe there's somebody they're not. And I had this within me. And part of it was because I was trying to reclaim a childhood that I felt I lacked, until I understood that it's not about living in this timeline of having a childhood and having to grow up. It's about being able to come back into that energy and fully understand what it means and what power that carries. Let me tell you this. The power of child innocence, the power of wonderment, the way children see the world, this is powerful. This is why, we're not going to get into this, this is why the Super Soldier program has an outlook for children. Because at those ages, at those young ages, not only do they know what their abilities are going to be, this is a power that they can use and they can manipulate. They don't want you, society does not want you to be able to feel and remember what it's like when you look at clouds and you see pictures in clouds and you're telling your friend, you know, oh, I saw this beautiful cloud that was shaped like a zebra. They don't want you to do that. They want you to lose that. Because if you keep that childhood wonderment, that childhood understanding, you keep your self-worth. It is so much easier to find your self-worth when you think of what you felt like as a child, when you felt calm and happy, and the things you thought about in a child's brain. That is poison to your society. They don't want you to know that. And so people may have looked at me as crazy or wacko jacko. It's a terrible term. But it was because I was living my truth. I understood the power of that innocence. And so then, because our world is so money hungry, what they did is they extrapolated it into something it was not. If you knew me, if you knew the real me, not the pop star me, but if you knew the real me, if you can feel energy, you would know the truth of all of what they wanted you to believe. If you can feel energy, you would know whether or not I was guilty of those things that they talked about. It's as simple as that. If you feel from your heart, you will know whether I'm guilty of those things or not. And with the outlook and the energy of the child running through you, the power that comes with it and the understanding that comes with it allows you to drop some of these horrible adult things that they throw at you to throw you off the path. Now, I was talking to Temple earlier about this, and I was trying to make the comparison between these two ladies and how it was the same for me, but it was different. But the concept was the same, to try to keep me off my path of bringing love and light and to change the world, not only by the music, but to understand the beats and the concepts of what was music when I started and what was music when I passed. There's a whole progression there. And that couldn't have happened without me standing in my self-worth and saying, no, this has to be this way. You may not understand it, but I understand it. And I know that if you trust me and do what I have written, do what I say, it will change the world. Now, let me get back to my last topic about the girls. The girls, because they are constantly working on themselves, because they are constantly living in their truth, they are tasked with specific things that they have to accomplish. That is their mission, just like you. You are tasked with specific things that you need to accomplish. That is your mission. But when you go against the grain, just like I did, when you go against the grain of what society wants, there comes a point where if you stay small and you don't stand up for your belief in self, they can crush you. But if you stand up for your belief in self and keep progressing, they cannot. They cannot. And the girls constantly have attacks and various things thrown at them every day to make them stop what they're doing, to make them feel lesser so that they will quit this. In fact, Temple, right before she came on, got a email that threw her off, but it was on purpose. Everything is done on purpose because everything is energy. And once you understand this, once you understand that everything is energy, and if you can keep going, then, my friends, then you will truly see, when you can look back and see how much you have helped change the people in your life, change the world, change the vibration. I was attacked. I wasn't attacked like these girls were, but it was a different time. I was attacked in a lot of other ways. And did it hurt? Some of them did. I just started not watching the news or looking at tabloids. But the thing is, that is only the surface. That is not who you are. And once you know who you are, and once you love yourself, that is the key. You have to love yourself. And don't get me wrong, I loved myself. I was confident in what I was doing. I knew why I was here. And I wasn't going to let anything stop me. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't have to change paths or change directions here and there. But I kept going. I did not let any of these, what's the word I'm looking for? Distractions, any of these accusations, any of these jokes stand in my way. You cannot. This is the easy way to take you down. It's so simple. And they have you programmed already. So all they have to do is scare you. They have to make you feel less. They have to get people to believe falsities about you. All of these things you have the power to overcome. And you can only do that if you love yourself, if you truly know who you are, if you can find that self-worth. Why are you here? You are here for a reason. I was here for a reason. Don't think this is a fluke. There are no flukes. You have purpose. And you are full of love. And you need to make sure that your being, that the feeling of what you feel inside, what you feel you need to do, what you feel you need to say, comes through. Because we need more people to stand up and to change the world. Why do you think I talked about changing the world? It is so easy to think, well, he meant, making sure everybody had food or stopping the wars, or that's part of it. But remember, I said that I'm going to start with myself to change the world. I need you to start with you to change the world. Because in order to change the world, you need to change yourself. You need to realize that you are amazing and you are beautiful and you are worth so much more than they want you to believe you are. I was set up for failure from the beginning. I had to be really strong in myself to keep going. You would probably say, well, Michael, that's ridiculous. Why would you be set up for failure? Because I was never good enough. My nose was too big. I wasn't perfect in the way I sang. All of these little things, they add up if you don't know how to process them, how to feel them, how to let go of them. And some of them, I am not perfect. By any means, I am not perfect. And I see that now that I'm on the other side. But in those moments, sometimes it gets hazy and you forget to take a breath and to be with yourself for that moment. And you allow those criticisms to chip away pieces of you. And I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want that to happen to you because I fulfilled my missions on earth. Was it happy? Was it exciting? Was it easy? No, it wasn't. And I knew that coming in, but you forget this. When you come in, all of this goes. And the only thing you have left is that spark of self-worth in you to tell you that something bigger exists outside myself. That's all you have left. If you can't listen to that, then you're doomed, because that's going to lead you on a path to realize the bigger picture of who you are. And that's why it's so important, like Ross said, to be clearing these energies, to be made aware of them, to be made aware that things aren't always what they appear. They're not. If you took everything at face value that you were fed, you would believe horrible things about me that I would never even be capable of. You have to remember that all of these people who are in the limelight, they all are people. They may be told what they need to do or even forced into signing things. They may have masks that they put on, but they're still people. They feel, they love, they hurt. They struggle with the same things that you struggle with. I struggled with the same things that you guys struggled with. And that's not talked about enough. All you see is what they throw at you and want you to believe. But there's always more sides to the story. So don't ever think that I wasn't struggling with certain aspects of my job, or that every day was just an enjoyable day in Neverland. That's not the case. I struggled just like you. But the one thing that I had that was still intact after all the abuse that I went through was that childlike belief, that childlike energy, that knowing of who I was, that this was something bigger than myself, of knowing that the blood that run through my veins was the blood of thousands of me, of experiences. I wrote a book once and I talked about this, and I gave hints to things that I felt and that I believed. And Temple and I talked about this once, and she was so interested in the fact that I kept it so hidden. But what she didn't realize was that the world was not ready for the deep in-length discussions of what really is and how things really are. They just weren't ready. And so I had to give the world what I believed I was, what I knew I was, what I could feel I was. And sometimes, like in this book, I had to be very careful about how it was said. But when Temple read through it, she told me that she saw right through what the words were on the page. And so my hope for you is that going forward, that my struggles in life are something that you can build off of, that you know that you're not the only one. You are not the only one. And I think that's about it that I'm going to ramble on about, unless there are any questions.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Michael, for sharing your story. That was so beautiful. We don't have any questions right now. We do have a couple of comments. Jody Reiki Medium 333 says, thank you. I just wanted to say hi, Michael, and I love you. Thank you for being around me. I have talked to you a few times, and I named my son after you too. Parentheses, Heart Squad. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Hi, Maggie, can I say something about this?
Yes.
First of all, I love you. Thank you so much for saying these beautiful things. But this is another example of when you really understand the energies and understand the person that is out there changing things, and you feel comfortable with them. You feel like you know them. You feel like you have a bond. So much so that you name your son after me and we have conversations together. This is what you all can do. You can influence people with your love. You don't have to influence people with your hate and with your angst. Influence them with your love and the wishes for them. Show them the beauty of the planet and the beauty of yourself and the beauty of the world. That's how you make an impression. And I hope that that is the impression that I made. Although I know not everybody feels the same, but that was what I wanted to get across. I love all of you. And I could not have become as successful as I was without all of your love and support. And something that I don't talk about much, but I'm going to say it, is that in many ways, I was a forerunner for testing the grounds of what's going to happen when all of these starseeds come to this planet and they feel alone and they feel different. As you can see, and we've talked about this, I was different and I was okay with it. And my hope was that I showed you that you can be different and be okay with it. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank
But I
you.
love you. Thank you so much. I'm
That
so
was
honored to have your son named after myself.
Alicia Rose P1111 says, yes, I knew the real you, Michael. I also love and respected everything you were all about. And that was all caps, pure love for all. And then she has a quote of yours. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and me and the entire human race.
Yes, thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you. Oh, this brings me so much joy. You guys have no idea. I used to, when I was on Earth, I used to have a fake name, and I used to go on chats just to see what everybody else was talking about, just to see how they were receiving me. Because don't get me wrong, I knew who I was, but I wanted to make sure that I was making the right choices, to make sure that I was bringing all the love I could. And it makes me so happy to hear that. So thank you so much for your comment, Alicia.
Alicia says, thank you, Michael. I have a question for you, Michael, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep.
You said that throughout all of the criticisms and all of the, things that people said about you, you were able to keep that spark of your own expression burning so strongly within you, this expression of the child within you. How did you keep that so strong with all of the criticism that you were given? I mean, many of us, people like me in Temple, people criticize us, and even that's sometimes too much to take, and it's nothing on the level that you were at. What did you do to stay so strong within yourself?
I meditated a lot. That's something people don't know about me.
Oh, wow.
But I did meditate, and I understood the body and the energy centers on a deeper level. I was never able to talk about it at the time, but I understood how things work in a way. And so I would sit with myself often, because who else am I going to be around? I couldn't be around many people, and even some of the people that claimed were my friends, I couldn't be around them because I never knew if they were actually my friends or what would happen. And so I spent a lot of time in nature, and I spent a lot of time, I have this favorite tree that I had, and Temple will remember the pond that in Astro we would lay up and watch the stars and talk. And so I spent a lot of time with Mother Earth, and I really connected with her deep down. And so when this would happen, and when I was so sad and I didn't understand that I was giving the world so much love and all they could do was criticize me. I would often cry and I would say, why? Why is this happening? And I would just give it all to Mother Earth and God. And I learned to become strong. It's not like, I think people misunderstand that I just had this strength that was just innately there to ignore things that people were saying. And that's not the case. I watched Temple and some of the things she's told and how she's progressing in being stronger to not let them bother her. And I did much the same. Although I have to say, I went outside a lot more and I grounded into Mother Earth than Temple does. She needs to learn these things. She needs to do it more. So does that answer your question, Maggie?
It does answer it wonderfully, and thank you for telling us that fact about you. I'm not a scholar of your life or anything, but I had no idea that you were a meditator and you were so close to Mother Earth. And I think that it's really well timed that you're talking about these things. I think that Mother Earth is working with a lot of us right now and asking us to give her our troubles and to give her our worries. And in doing so, she is making us stronger within ourselves. So thank you for sharing that.
Definitely, definitely.
I don't have any more questions here for you unless you have anything else you would like to share with us. Maybe Temple would like to come back, but I thank you so much for coming to speak to us today. It was such a beautiful gift.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this. And I hope that Temple is now a little more at ease in front of the camera with a audience in bringing me through, because I would like to come through more often. I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot I want to say, but I wanted to make sure she was comfortable first. And so we would practice at night while she was in bed, and I would show her timelines and people asking questions, and she would see herself channeling me, and she would be blown away by what I was saying. And then she would question. And I think this has all worked wonderfully. So she is so calm now and so at peace. And I want to thank you, Maggie, for encouraging her through this channeling and understanding of how it works, because I am now able to connect with so many of you through Temple and Temple's energies. Our energies are very much alike in many ways. And so it's very easy to communicate with her. But now we can all work together as a group and we can all help to better ourselves. And by helping bettering ourselves, we're helping healing the planet. And this is what is important to me.
Thank you so much, Michael. And Temple did amazing. And thank you for joining us with this beautiful co-creation.
Thank you. Temple and I would like to leave you with some energy and some light language.
Beautiful. May the child in you be alive and well. May you feed it regularly with love and understanding and trust. Thank you for having me. I'm going to take my leave now. I will be here
So if any questions pop up or anything that I need to answer, I will be here. Much love. Thank you. I love you all.
Much love. Thank you. Beautiful. Temple, that was amazing.
I gotta. You was very much. We can't do this. I have eyeliner on.
I could tell that he cares about everybody in this room so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun. I'm so strange that I was like so nervous about it. But this is part of Maggie and my growth too, I guess. Like we're not trying to pretend that we have all the answers because we're learning just like you guys are learning. So
Exactly. Oh, shoot. There was, I don't know if maybe he was on his way out. Val asked, will MJ reincarnate again as a singer in the future?
So we've talked about it quite a lot. He is going to reincarnate. In our way of seeing things, I'm guessing like he usually says, well, in human years, it would be like 2 to 4 years or so. But like up where he is, it goes a lot faster. So we've talked about it, and this is very interesting, Maggie. He talked about how I remember him saying something about Mother Earth. And I'm just thinking that like she is like a feminine energy, right? And he talks to me a lot about how because he was male but carried this feminine energy, like people didn't like that at the time. But I remember him telling me once, he's like, but I'm so caring, and I have this mother thing, and I just want to mother everybody. I just want them to be like my little hens, and I just want to mother them. And he's like, so I think I'm going to come in as a woman this time. So he's got it all planned out, and yeah. So he's going to come in. I don't know if he's going to be as a singer. Oh, he just said that he is definitely going to be making music. Now, whether that's going to be, hang on just a second. He said that when he comes back in, if all goes as planned, he will be making music, but he does not want to, something about he doesn't want to do the extreme, he called this past life of his extreme. He doesn't want to do the extreme thing right now for this next life. So.
Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting he'll come back as a woman.
Jody says, I just wanted you to know I could see his face while you were channeling. Oh my gosh, Jody, you have no idea what a compliment that is. I'm blown away. Thank you so much for saying that. That boosts my confidence. That's something that, like, when we are in channeling practice, when we know that we can see the face of the being that's being channeled in the person, we know that the connection was very strong. And I mean, I felt it. Like, so I was like, Michael, I can't cry. I can't cry. I got eyeliner. He's like, just go with your emotions. So thank you so much, Jody, for saying that. Oh, that'll be enough to keep me going now for like a couple days, maybe a week. Oh my gosh, I'm so thirsty. Yeah. So, how long have we been on? Isn't it weird? Like, I don't know if Maggie experiences this, but like when I come out of a channeling, there's like this in between period where like the being itself is out of your energetics. Well, Michael's got his hands on my shoulders right now, but the being is out of like your energetic channeling centers, but you're still like, you're there, but there's still like this kind of in between wavy, like you're still kind of coming back, and it
Yeah.
takes a little while. So I'm just gonna sit here in his energy and bask in his energy and have funny faces while you guys do the talking. Until I fully come back.
Well, I
So
think that you did really, really great, Temple. And I don't know if all of you, I mean, you guys know Temple, but you don't really know me, obviously, because I've only been on her channel a few times. But channeling for an audience isn't something that she and I have done for a long time or are really super comfortable with as a practice. I've been channeling in front of people for a little bit of time, but not a lot of time. And I can't say that it's as easy as breathing for me or anything yet. It's very much something that we're both coming into. And we had the theme of getting out of your comfort zones last week, and this week is the theme of self-worth. And I just wanted to say, if we can do these things, if we can come on and channel for you guys, if we can talk about self-worth, like if we can get to these places, I hope it's an inspiration for you guys that you're able to do anything you want. Like if you want to try to channel, if you think that you want to channel. We haven't been channeling our whole lives. It was just something that we became interested in, and we were lucky enough to, be able to practice with each other and encourage each other. But that's really all that it takes, is knowing that you can do it within yourself. It's really a great time for that, this energy of creation that's coming in, this energy of releasing a lot of things. Like if there's anything that you guys want to try out, or you want us to talk about that you want to try, you want to be given energies to learn how to do these things, like please let us know, because we're all about that. We're here kind of, I think, as examples that it's possible to do all the things that you want to do.
yeah, Michael is talking my ear off again. He's like, "Oh, we need to have a day where we talk about the energy of creation," because he's saying that. Hang on just one second. Do you want me to just talk for you, or do you want to go back in? Okay, he's saying that I can just talk for him. So he's saying that any sort of creation is always stepping out of your boundaries. He's saying that he said I could talk about like the mini movie thing, but let's just talk about baking a cake. Baking a cake is easier. So he's saying when you first bake a cake and you've never baked before in your life, and you haven't even really figured out like how to measure things and stuff, you're stepping out of your comfort zone to try and learn a new skill. And he's saying that you can apply that to what he was doing, only on a grander scale, because he also had the what's the word you want to use? He said that in many ways it was a lot more, it was a lot scarier in many ways, because when you're learning to bake a cake and this is your very first cake you ever baked, you're either with family or people that love you or by yourself. So like if you fail, it's not that big of a deal, where like stepping out of your comfort zone because you have an idea or have a message or have a thought process that is larger, grander than what was before, baking the cake, and in his case, like the mini movie video things, and then putting it on the audience, and like realizing that there is still a part of you that hopes they enjoy it, even though part of you is confident that this was the right thing to do for yourself because you enjoyed it, you enjoyed creating it. There is always going to be this nervousness, hoping that the public enjoys your work. And he said he would go through that too. So I don't know. Is there more? Is there more you want to say? Does that make sense? I don't know what I just said.
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
It's always putting yourself out there in a way. It's never going to be you're always going to wonder how people receive you, which is why this is what they're telling me right now. It's so important that when you're putting yourself out there, when you're putting yourself into the world, when you're expressing yourself in the world, that you have a foundation of, doesn't matter what these people think. In my, deeper mind, or in my more human mind, I'm hoping that people really like this, but I will love what I'm doing so much and love myself so much that it'll be a nice icing on the cake of the cake if people if people like it. But if they don't understand it, that's okay, because it's not going to shake how much I love it and how much I love myself. Their response to what I'm putting out there has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them, and that is the only thing that they wanted me to add to that.
He said that's so perfect. And then I said, is this like a Raw Michael collaboration? And he goes, you betcha. Because I'm from Wisconsin. Um, so there was a question Val had, did MJ ever channel when he was here in 3D? And he's saying that everything he did was channeled. There is a part of you that knows that you are solid foundation. You love yourself, you love your soul enough to allow you to be the channel for divine creation. And so he's saying that his songs, even though some of the songs were from personal experiences and stuff, but he says everything was channeled through God. He really worked closely with God and the energies, and he, he goes, and also the Matrix. Like, I could talk about the Matrix at some point, yeah. So he's saying that everything he did that he loved was channeled, because that's how it works when you're in the flow of yourself. It's whether it's higher information coming from a different aspect of you or a different portion of you that's connected to God or God himself or the matrix. It's all coming through you because you are the creator. So he said there's something very beautiful about working with source and working with the aspects of love and creation, having it come through the human mind and the human spirit, who, hang on just a second. I think it would be easier. So what I'm trying to say is that it is something beautiful to be said about working so closely with your own self-worth and accepting the channeled information that comes in with a co-creation, whether it's God or higher aspects of yourself, or everything that comes into this human body and this human brain, to bring it through into the human 3D and then allow it to mix and mash together, and having something from source, from the ethers, from the bigger picture, and bringing some of that magic down into my songs and my creation, and mixing it with this dense 3D world. There's something very beautiful in that. And I truly enjoyed that co-creation every time. That's one of the things that gave me the stamina to keep going, because it's such a beautiful, powerful, freeing feeling when you know that you are co-creating because you are full within yourself and you know why you're here. You know that you have these missions to fulfill. And so it's such a beautiful process and so magical. And I loved the magic that is here on this planet, the everyday magic of the bird hatching out of its egg to the bugs on the grass. Everything was just so magical to me, and that goes back into the child that we already talked about, but I'm not going to get back into that.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I mean, I can understand where he's coming from, because I feel the same way a little bit with like creating these recipes, or like researching something that's so old that people have forgotten about, and then giving it the spark of life. And I feel like I'm co-creating with them in a way, the original people who came up with a recipe, and we're giving it new life and bringing it back. And I guess, so what I'm saying, Michael, is I can kind of understand what you're talking about in my own work. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that as well too, and I think that you and I have been talking about this a lot. I think that the idea of self-worth is really it seems daunting sometimes when you look at it as, well, I'm just this one human who doesn't really know what self-worth is about, and going on that journey is daunting, and it's kind of scary sometimes, and you don't know where to begin. But for me, it's been important to remember that I'm not just, Maggie who is incarnated in this body on this earth right now. I am the sum total of all of the lives that I've ever had. And all of those people live with me in this body, should I choose to acknowledge them. The queen that I was before lives with me, the warrior that I was before, the, alien commander, whoever it is, they're all with me here now, should I choose to draw on their energy. So it's not like little old me all by myself. We have the power of everything that we've ever done in every life before. And to remember that and to embody those things and call those energies and people that are a part of us in as we're trying to move forward in strength and confidence, it can help a lot if you keep that in mind and you ask them, I really need help to feel good about myself in this way, or please give me the strength to do this, and say, whatever past life it was, please come to the front and give me your energy. They will. They will, and it will surprise you. I know that you can totally relate to this, Temple.
I can't, and Michael's like, she's like really excited. Like, I'm so glad Maggie touched on this, because I wanted to say one more thing. Seriously, like Michael would just talk and talk and talk and talk. Like if we let him talk all night long, he would just talk all night long. But what he was saying was that when he created his music, that he pulled stuff from his past experiences. And he said, now, sometimes I thought I understood them from the human perspective. And then when I got over here, I realized that like I had a few details wrong, but he said it doesn't really matter. The details don't necessarily matter, because what you're pulling from is the whole entire energy. And so he said, I was like, are you sure you want me to say that? He said, so when you're seeing my videos, like Stranger in Moscow, he's like, there was thought behind that. And he goes, when you see my video, like, remember the time, there was thought behind that. And there were energies that allowed me to be in those moments and pull from those energies of feelings of those past experiences that I experienced. And he said there are many, many others, but yes, so he pulled a lot too from his past experiences, and he's like, and remember to tell them that the only way you can do this is when you're not questioning yourself so much, when you're not wondering, okay, like this is really crazy, like why am I feeling this way? He's like, this is the part of the magic and the mystery that awaits when you come back to the child, and when you come back to the energy of loving yourself, and what amazing souls everybody is. So yeah, he's like, thank you, mate.
You're welcome, Michael. And they're also telling me, I'm sure this is raw because it's been raw the whole time. He's also telling me that every way that you want to feel, everything that you're trying to pull in, every desire that you have, you might feel like it's a hole. Like, why can't I feel this way? I'm trying to build this energy in myself. You have this desire to feel it because your soul knows what it's like to feel this thing strongly. So you're reaching for it. You have a place in the grand collective that is your soul, that knows exactly how it feels to feel this way and feel this strongly, and knows how to bring that energy to you. So don't ever feel like you're lacking in anything. The feeling of desire is just you calling out to the part of yourself that knows how to do this for you. All you need to do is not question that it can come in. Allow this energy to come into you, because it's part of you and it wants to be there. The important thing, like Temple said, is not questioning, or like Michael said, is not questioning it.
Yep. And I think from my personal experiences, just allowing yourself to be in the energy and not being so nitpicky about learning every detail. Like, this is something that I personally struggle with, so I feel like I can talk about it. Just allowing that energy to flow over you is enough to get you into the thought process you need, or get help with whatever you're struggling with. Don't feel, oh, Michael's saying, this is the brain. He said, don't feel like you have to put it in the brain. He said, those feelings are there because they are yours, but feel them through the heart. That's where the co-creation happens. It's not the brain. It's the best. No, he's like, well, you better, he said, co-creation can happen in the brain, but it's not as pure, it's not as strong as when you bring it through the heart and you co-create with the energies of yourself in your heart, because that allows you to feel instead of think. And he said, I was really good at feeling. And he said, I became really good at shutting my brain down to stop the thinking sometimes, because I wouldn't have been able to survive if I couldn't stop all that thinking. So.
That makes a lot of sense. We've been practicing that so much lately too. That's what we've been telling. That you look at all the channelers, all the messages that are coming out right now, they're really focusing on the feeling aspect of things.
Right. It's so important, because this is me talking, but it's really important because this is what has been left out. Like, how to work through those feelings, how to accept those feelings, how to let those feelings flow through you, how to not put crap on top of them just to make it worse, to blow it out of proportion. And this is something too that Ramses and I have been working on. Michael's been helping, but yeah, it's a big deal. Like, even people on the other side are working through this. This is not something that is just for the human 3D. And so if that's the case, if you have people or souls or beings in other dimensions and in other realms that are currently working through this feeling thing and allowing themselves to feel, that this has to be important. This has to be important. Otherwise, you wouldn't hear of it. It'd just be like one or two people, but it's been the focus on our realm as well as many other realms. So it's important.
Absolutely. And I think that we as humans can really commend ourselves for working through our feelings and being willing to feel them on the level, especially, we as Starseeds light workers are asked to feel them for the collective, because we feel more deeply than most other races and collectives in the entire universe do. Our depth of feeling is so unique in its strength. So those of you who are deep feelers, and everyone is feeling a lot right now in general, you are doing great work, because our race as humans, we are the only ones really who can hold this level and this intensity of feeling. And we're doing great service for a lot of other people in doing that. So even when it gets hard, even when it feels the hardest, that you're still doing something great. Even when you feel low, holding that energy and releasing it, which you are doing, you're doing something great. So don't get down on yourself, even at the times that you do feel down, because you're still doing amazing. You're still doing something that most beings cannot do.
Yep. And this brings something to mind where I was told once that it's easy in the 3D to feel like you aren't progressing, or you aren't doing your best to work on things, or it's easy to feel lack in the 3D. But they said when you look at it from the outer perspective, you are moving the energies and doing the work so wonderfully that you could never know what you're actually doing, what you're actually working through, what you're actually feeling, because of the way the energies are in our 3D world. And so keep that in mind. Anytime you feel like I'm not getting anywhere, I keep trying, and like that has to stop. And that can stop, I think, when you realize that the beings upstairs and the beings in spirit world, they see it totally different than what we see here. And it's not that you can't see it that way. It's that we are programmed with our density here to not really feel or witness or know the expansive truth of it. And so think about that next time you guys are feeling like, oh, this is just not, I feel like I'm going forever. You actually are doing something. And I think if you are able to look at it from the higher perspective of what they told me, it'll help you, because I know it's helped me. So.
Absolutely. Ra is saying, as long as you're feeling, you're making progress and you're helping to advance the collective. The only way that you couldn't be making progress is if you stopped feeling. But as long as you're feeling, as long as your heart is beating and you are processing through emotions in the beautiful way that we as humans do, you are doing something wonderful. And he wants everyone to remember that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So how long have we, let me just double check a few things here. How long have we been on for? 112 minutes. So I think that's good. We're trying to figure out kind of like how we want to structure these, if we want to be on just for an hour or 2 hours. I mean, because we could just keep going and going and going. And self-worth is such a large topic that I think between Michael and Ra, we could probably break it down and focus on specific aspects of it. If you feel that that would help you guys, we are more than happy to do that with you, because we learn as well. But I don't know. What do you think, Maggie? You want to?
I think that self-worth is a topic that we could probably stay covering, and probably Michael has a lot to say about it. I know that Ra has a lot to say about it. I think that some of our other Egyptian friends have things to say about it. I think Sekhmet has something to say
Oh,
about
that's so
it.
funny, because Michael was like, Sekhmet's here too. And I was like, yeah, I totally feel her, but it feels like she wants to talk. And he's like, she does, but I'm going to step in because I've been planning this all day. So it's like,
Maybe we can highlight her next week. We can give her the stage next week. Maybe
I think that would be great.
we had the masculine in this week to speak about it. Maybe we could bring in some feminine beings next week. And if anyone has any beings that they want to request, you can always request them from us, and we'll see if they would like to come through, or it's a topic that they would like to speak about.
I
But
think that's
usually,
really beautiful.
they let us know very strongly who it is that wants to come through to talk about the thing.
And actually, so when I was in the lab today, and I was potting cold cream, I was working on cold cream. I had Pandora up, and I had like a Broadway station going. But as Michael was talking to me, he's like, now listen to this next song. This is what I'm talking about. You'll have a better idea of like what I'm talking about. And so there was just two of them that I took pictures of, just because I thought I would share them if I felt pulled to share them. So I thought this one, it was called Let It Go, by James Bay, B-A-Y. And I thought that was a really good one. And then I sent one to you, Meg. I was like, I can't believe this is playing. Save Myself by Ed Sheeran. So those were two ones that I thought were really poignant to the my topics today. I always love like our process, and maybe someday we'll talk about our process of like how the information comes to us and how they prep us. And I know It differs. Like sometimes in our channeling practices, I'm like, guys, what are we talking about? Who's going to channel with me? What are we talking about? And then Michael, like that one day, Michael came in and he's like, I'm going to channel with you today, but I'm not telling you who or what the subject is because you have to trust. That's like, really? You know, like we are constantly being schooled, and they do it with the utmost love. The utmost love, even though like sometimes we're like, really, guys, really?
It's never what you planned. I thought that Ra was going to channel about the energy of the inner child in the sacral and the solar plexus today. And he came in with this whole different talk about the body and the stomach. And I had no idea he was going to talk about that. But that's the cool part about doing this together and with you guys as a co-creation. Maybe earlier in the day, that was what you watching on a different timeline would have needed. But being on the timeline that we ended up on tonight, he tapped into the fact that he really wanted to get people comfortable in their bodies. And I know that that was relevant for me. So you never really know what to expect. You really learn how to go with the flow.
Definitely, because if you're not in the flow, if you resist the flow, probably the better way to say it, then it never works the way it's supposed to. So Maggie and I are learning to have extreme trust in ourselves, in our teams, and in the flow, and learning that it will all work out. They got it all. We just gotta flow with it. So Val said that she would possibly like Marilyn Monroe. And I think that's super interesting. Now,
You could do
I don't,
Monroe.
yeah, right? Happy birthday. No, so something that you guys probably don't know about was that I went through a stint where I used to be a vintage model, and I would do car shows as either like Lucille Ball or Marilyn Monroe. And so I had to learn to speak like Marilyn, and I had to learn to sing and dance like Marilyn. And so I think that'd be very interesting. I think we could probably attune our energies very well, and we will definitely put that on the list. So yeah. Remember when I sang happy birthday? Didn't I sing like happy birthday to Michael once?
You did. It was amazing.
Yeah, there was one time in my life where when I was just starting the LBCC business, I was doing this thing as like on Fiverr. I don't know if Fiverr even exists. You pay $5 and then like somebody can make something for you or whatever. You just look up what you need. And I said, if you pay me $5, I will call the person whose birthday it is, and I will pretend to be Marilyn Monroe and like wish them a happy birthday. And so like people would have me calling their friends and pretending to be Marilyn Monroe and like wishing them a happy birthday. But I don't do that anymore. So that was fun though. That was very fun. All right. So with that said, does Ra want to send us off any which way, or what is he saying?
1 second.
Michael's showing me a picture of like Earth and like people around Earth with green hearts in between everyone. So he must be talking about the fifth ray, the heart thing.
Yeah, I think for those of you who are with us right now, just how we connected at the beginning, we will connect again at the end, strengthen our energies together in the collective field of love that is between us. I think that's what Ra wants us to do. He's lighting up my root chakra right now, which is, I think it's something he's meaning to keep us grounded for the time going on after this and give us a feeling of safety within this group of ourselves and within our own bodies so that we can go forward in our journeys of self-worth even more groundedly.
Beautiful.
Do you want to start the language temple? That's what I'm feeling.
Yep. Vuota sakuun tokushukokala nasa taurapa uhukushu yet ana uma I ashukuun and anto. Baskatushokona sakati, nias umpashukut istias. Amakulukosha and it amuush ama ia iaskush. Natakala and ia kolok amap ia anat ia shukoto and umot uba. Yaskush and in uba in and 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 in and and in and but in that wash hanak hak yak nash mo nak naskatulot amaks wapa. Namaste.
Olohe, aloha, ileaha la hahutea, unduo aya hata, buruha unusuhaya, laha na I aya hasa, unduku tuhuyaha laha nuuku tuki aya, onoho, onoho, haya aha, unsu sasai aya. Namaste.
Namaste.